Because on my gear, I run 30-30, 30-30, or close to it. See the gems? I don't run any 4-piece. I'm the only main commander in the game. 2 sets of gems on everything. I don't run any 4-piece. Look at this. Greetings, Commanders! Welcome to another Fireside chat. This chat's coming just in time for the Season 4 playoffs to start. And, man, what a crazy Season 4, right? Going into the playoffs, this game, I want to say it's only been like not even 3 months, maybe 2 months. It happened so fast. Maybe 4 months. I don't know. Tier 11 was launched in the last game, or the game before the finals of Season 3. I'm pretty sure that's when Tier 11 launched. And they hadn't quite figured out strengthened weekend effect. And since then, the community has exploded. This channel went from like 200 subscribers to 2,000. Our line chat went from like a 230-person room to, I think, 12 chat rooms now with over 3,000 members. WeChat is starting to explode, so people that are in Chinese guilds, English-speaking players that are in Chinese guilds have reached out to us and started their own English versions on WeChat. WeChat's a massive social app. Like, people that don't know what WeChat is, well, first off, China is 8 times bigger than the US, or 10 times bigger, and that's their number one go-to app. It's like, they use it for everything. Business, personal. It's like a way better, bigger version of, I dare say Facebook, because I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but WeChat does everything. Scans QR codes, you can transfer money. WeChat is massive. Anyway, we started getting a community on WeChat, and I've been invited to some of the Chinese communities. And we're really starting to spread this thing out, and we have learned so much, right? So much. Like, nowadays, when a new event comes out, it's no longer like checking the mail the next day to see if anyone actually opened the super equipment chest to see how many items. You just check WeChat, boom. Or check line chat, someone will have it. Check Discord, someone will have it instantly within minutes. If you want to figure out, oh gosh, what else? What was the auction results, the guild mobilization auction from last week, so you know what the minimum bid kind of needs to be for you to win an item. We've got people in the community making that little spreadsheet instantly just so people have it for reference, right? Maybe I'll do a weekly video series on that for, I don't know. Yeah, people put a lot of time into it. But anyway, that's coming along. We've got more content creators coming along the way. We've got new speedruns coming up, new ideas, new inventions. Memes have been taken off. I don't know, not the greatest memes, but we got memes. I mean, that's a start. You got to start somewhere, people. So the game's come a long way. Strength and weekend effect and resistance weekend effect have officially become useful again now that tier 9 and 10 can be affected and affect strength and weekend. It was so much that it was the case that tier 9 and 10 in seasons 2 and 3 could not be properly restrained, so people didn't use it. Which was good, I think, in a sense, because if you had spent the time and money to get tier 9 and 10, all of a sudden to just be shit out and shut down by someone who just happened to have the proper counter march to you, like, it kind of sucked. But now with tier 11, strength and weekend does affect them again, and tier 11 works with strength and weekend of all types. So matchups are getting kind of crazy. Different march troops or different marches are occurring because strength and weekend has an effect. So you're starting to see a little more use for commanders that can have multiple trigger skills, but of course you're starting to see use for commanders that like Grievous, for example, who can trigger all troop types. He's become a little more useful, just a little more useful. And I remember tier 9 and 10 and 11 have multiple troop types, so that's not a desperate need yet for all skills commanders, we'll call them. But we're seeing a nice variance, but at the same time, we've also honed down the usefulness of all commanders and where they truly sit. The way they've changed the Galactic battle rules makes it so that just by being there, we get points, so more participation is nice. People that were in really polarized guilds of 3 or 4 big players, and the rest are just like smaller guys hanging on the coattails, you might say, who weren't invited to the Galactic battles because they were, potentially bad for business. If someone doesn't have tier 7 or tier 9, they can't really compete in Galactic Battle in seasons 2 and 3. It just didn't make sense. You being there was just a liability, right? People would make mistakes. They'd send a tier 2 march on accident, and then they'd give your team a deficit. It was real stressful for all the players. But now you want people to join. You want to protect the players who join because they give you points per minute, I should say. It's 1,000 points times 100 points times your arc haul every 10 minutes, roughly. Unless you're level 21, you get plus 400 on top of that. So 2,500 every 10 minutes for level 21 haul. There you go. There's some facts. Okay. But also, we fleshed out the meta of, ignore tier suppression skills like Ghost Cannon. You are seeing a ton of bullets now. Everyone runs a bullet. You should. You should run a bullet in your own server. You don't need a huge bullet like mine. You can have just a baby bullet. 3,000-4,000 leadership will kill a tier 10, tier 11 airship. Tier 11 airship, Ghost Cannon. How are you going to kill a Ghost Cannon or a tier 11 airship with just Rangers? Well, that's how you do it, with bullet. Most valuable commander in the game. Everyone should run a bullet. At least 4,000 leadership. When there's a leadership success event, take it up to 4,000, just like I did my Rock. Rock also has Annihilator Ray, same as Ghost Cannon, but it takes Yetis, so it gives up points in Galactic Battle. But by nature of walkers, they have higher accuracy, so he's the best PvP ignore tier suppression commander. Everyone should be running Rock. If you don't run Rock and tier 1 Yetis, you're missing out, man. Just get a 4,000 Rock, take his Annihilator Ray to 30, fill him up with one row of tier 1 infantry or tier 1 walkers and all accuracy gear, and just send him to an ally during the kill event weekend. You'll get first strike. You might trigger Annihilator Ray. You might kill tier 11 or whatever's on your server. Everyone should be running Plasma because Plasma is guaranteed to trade well in a fair or not so fair fight. And now that strengthened weakened gear plays an effect, you could use these commanders against tier 11. The highest, most powerful commanders in the game who have tier 11 can be susceptible to lower tier if you have strengthened weakened gear. Now, granted, you still are, fall victim to tier suppression items like Black Knight and Libra, but Plasma should still be in your arsenal. Sometimes, remember, these new gears don't have tier suppression on the chest, right? Tyrant has just raw stats, 60%, 58%, but that's it. There's no tier suppression. And in order to get any other tier suppression, you have to use the Diablo Hall, the ship hall, or two-piece Libra. Well, people's mains are usually Golems and Stellas. That's what we're seeing right now. And they don't run tier suppression in the highest level fights. So when you see your boss going against someone else's boss, that other person is probably not using tier suppression. If it's a Golem, it's probably going Scorpio Taurus or Scorpio Leo, right? Maybe they even have a third set, but not always tier suppression. So, always keep an eye on them. Send a weenie. You can just send your level 1 commander, your level whatever weenie with just Rangers to go attack them. You don't sacrifice anything. There's no gold to heal. You don't give them any points. You just send a Ranger to die on their, if you see their ship, send a weenie and see what they have. If they're using a commander that doesn't have tier suppression, tier 2 is really good if they don't have tier suppression. Plasma with tier 2 will trade so well if someone's not running tier suppression. That's just, you should always know that and always have a Plasma ready to fight. Because that does occur. In every Galactic Battle, there's always a moment where you can throw a massive Tier 2 Plasma at somebody. And then there's, your main commander, who would either be... Well, I'll throw Rogers in there. Dodger Rogers is super fun if you have dodge gear on him and you go against somebody that doesn't have guaranteed hit skills. Like if someone has a Plasma planted, sometimes I'll throw Roger Dodger there, see if they have Gemini or something. And if they don't trigger their Gemini in the first 3 rows, I'll probably do some serious damage with Tyrant Cometh in defensive stance. But... these are my 4 utility commanders. I happen to main a bullet, but, you don't have to. Most people will probably have something similar to me, but instead of having Hoodoo here, they may have Hoodoo. Hoodoo's a good main. They may have Golem or Stella. But that's it right now. You're not really seeing Chief mains anymore because Chief just doesn't hit as hard as Golem. He advertises to hit harder, but he truly doesn't. And one of my original videos was showing how Chief sucks compared to Golem. Just sucks. His crush skill versus Chief's Rampage is not even in the same ballpark. The multipliers are on different scales. So people have been using Hoodoo, which is great because of his Death Rattle skill. Punishes anyone that's trying to use lower tier that gets caught up in the Death Rattle. But also he hits hard with his Chain Blast and Awakening. Pictor is better, but Pictor doesn't have Death Rattle. Pictor just has a guaranteed hit and a little more bonus damage on his Chain Blast, or Sticky Grenades, if you will. Moonshadow is a great Walker commander. No one's maining her. Not a lot of Walker mains out there, and the ones that are want to stick to Hoodoo because he's so useful in other aspects of the game. That Death Rattle is so useful everywhere else that going Moonshadow or Pictor, even though they're better on paper, may not have the the utility, and they don't give you that much benefit. But, you know, golems, Stellas, hoodoos, that's pretty much what we're seeing now for mains. The X still is around. This argument about the X being good, guys, I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of making it. I'm going to do it one more time. The reason the X is not as good is because instead of X versus Stella, Bloodthirst is a 100% trigger skill. If she kills a slot, she will have a guaranteed hit on the next row, and she'll do bonus damage. So there's a chance she could one-shot an opponent with Gemini or Awakening, and she can one-shot your opponent. Lower risk to you. Great. But in a fair fight, this is a lose less skill. Or no, this is a win more skill. So if she's in a fair fight, she wants to win, and she has to kill a slot just to trigger this. And even if she does trigger it, who cares if she hits the back row? They got 5 other rows. It's just not as good as Stella's Dizzy. Stella's Dizzy is only a 20% skill, but in a fair fight, that could be enough to stop somebody's golem from landing regular hits unless they land a crush, and that's a big deal. Her Mysterious Wind is the same as Stella's Wings, except it's a 40% skill instead of Stella's 60% skill. Don't buy into that hype. Well, yeah, you know, I run Stella and I run the X. They're equal, and, you know, I notice Mysterious Wind on the X triggers just as much. It doesn't. It triggers 50% less. Maybe you've watched 5 replays and say, yeah, it's about the same. Watch 100 replays, write the numbers down, and say, okay, yeah, he was right. Okay. Because if it wasn't that way, they would have fixed it years ago. But also, Stella hits 50% harder. She hits 50% as often. She triggers it 50% as often. And she hits 50% harder on her percentage. She gets the X gets 1% damage per level. Stella gets 1.5%. That's it. That's why Stella's the main and X is not. That's why X is the weenie, baby. So, as far as airship commanders are concerned, Blader's still in the conversation, but you're just not seeing people main him anymore because he doesn't have that one slot bust versatility like utility like Golem and Stella have. Blader's a better toe-to-toe commander than Golem in a fair fight, but man, that crush hits hard. So, going into Season 4, that's what we're going to see, guys. I mean, these are the commanders you're seeing. Bullets, Rocks, Plasmas, some Rogers, not as much as we saw at the beginning. People realize he just doesn't have the utility. And then you're going to see Stella's Golems and Hoodoos. Not much else, man. That is the majority of it. Am I missing anything? I feel like I'm going to eat my words soon. No, I think that's it. All the other commanders, we've ran all the commanders through a gambit trying to find uses out of them. The Exorcist was a bust. Echo was a bust. Rita was okay, just not great. Lilith, fun against Rogers, not great. But, yeah, man, this is where everyone should be. If you're wondering what your commander lineup should look like, these are the guys you use on the weekends to use Tier 1 to fight because no one wants to lose Tier 7. It's way too expensive to heal. And you're probably not the biggest commander on your server, so you'll probably get one shot on accident. And you only have to do that once to never do it again. Yep, Bullets, Rocks, Plasmas. Yeah. Now, going into the playoffs, let's talk about the playoffs. What can we expect? Well, that's not ready yet. History. Let's check our history. So, Season 3, CHB and Vera won, but they met NYC in the finals. NYC had done a purge of all their major members, or their feeders, they called them, or something. It was really disrespectful, I guess. But anyway, NYC lost to Vera's Tier 10 airship golem, and Vera opened with a Sui Bullet, where he was using strengthened weakened effect on Yetis on the front row for Bullet, and then a bunch of Rangers in the back to trigger Ghost Cannon to try to trick his opponents to march on the stronghold to get the points for the Yetis, and then risk getting hit by Ghost Cannon, which was easy to counter, but right behind that he would put a big golem, someone else's golem. So they had a cool strategy. It never really panned out, and I hadn't really seen him use it since because the rules changed. And I don't know. Vera's always innovating as much as people like to give him crap and say he's a pay-to-win player. He does produce good strategies, and he's always fun to watch. I wish he was a little more social. Vera, if you're watching this, he's not. He's not. But if someone knows him, tell him. Be a little more social, guy. Come on. But, there's a lot of contenders now. Whoa, what is this? Big Boss, ALD. ALD's got a big player now, too. And recently he just lost a bunch of ships. So that was painful. No, that was 66. So CHB is Vera. GBD is lunch tables and or 66, I call them. SSS has Wuhan Boss. ALD's Big Boss. I don't know what ALD's boss's name. I forget. But he's a monster. But there's a lot of new contenders out there, man. Vera's not going to have an easy run of it. And now with Strength and Weekend being a big player, and Tier 11 being so expensive, we're going to see a lot of longer, more drawn-out, more strategy-based games. And what it really comes down to is getting the point lead early on, making your opponents go on the offensive, making them come to you so you can counter them, and so that you can take a point lead so high that forces them to either commit to taking your base or conceding. And everyone knows at this point in the game, if you are behind in points, you either need to eke out a living trying to outscore your opponents in every single fight to the point where you get the point lead back, or you just commit to saying this is going to cost a lot of money and we are just going to throw our armies at their stronghold, gold warp in, keep the vision up, keep sending weenies, keep resetting the time, or keep the timer from resetting over and over. And it takes 2 hours to take a base. So these battles take a long time. And they're tedious, man. They're actually a lot of actual gaming work. Any game where you got to sit there for 20 minutes nonstop, that's tough, man. No getting up, no taking breaks. I mean, granted, you have to. An hour or 2 hours. You can't just sit and focus on the game. You got to take breaks. So it gets a little crazy, man. These Galactic battles do get crazy. And we'll be live streaming them. You know, we'll be having the community hang out in the chat, you know, telling stories, watching the strongholds, getting live reports from the players in the guilds. They'll join the chats. And what else do I want to talk about? Ah, yes, something else. All right, so people have asked me about my bullet, what I've been doing with my bullet. I haven't really showed them off lately. Here's what's been going on. Tier 11 is susceptible to Strength and Weekend. We have talked about this. I haven't made the full-blown video. That series is coming. And the reason I haven't done it is, frankly, anyone that uses Tier 11 and Strength and Weekend, they didn't get there by luck or skill. There's a lot of money involved to get those troops. And there's a lot of players that have a lot of money tied up in those troops and gear. And even though I'm not one of those players, I know how to use that stuff against people. And even to this day, to this last weekend, people still don't know how to use Strength and Weekend and Resistance Weekend. Now, everyone in our channel and our community probably knows. But because foreign players, Chinese, Asia, don't know full Strength and Weekend yet, and their community is dismal compared to ours. They're tiny little community. It's very small, very closed off. Just their guild, just their server. They haven't socialized like we do. So I've been hesitant to make the video and release it because it's kind of like a privilege. Because we catch those people every week. And giving it all away just doesn't serve us. Doesn't serve me, and I'm having way too much fun. I'm a bullet player, man. I can't give away all my secrets. I'm a Tier 1 Ranger guy, fighting with the big dogs. I can't give away everything. If you know it, great. If you ask me in line, I'll tell you, but I'm not going to make a video so that someone can put it on to the foreign channels yet. After these playoffs, I will, because everyone that has it by then will know. But, yeah, I've been holding out. My bad, guys. I got loyalty still, I want to stay in my guild. I like these guys. So let's talk about bullet. Well, Tier 11, because it's dual troop type, and because it's affected by Strength and Weekend, Resistance Weekend. Strengthen the Weekend effect means that your infantry troop has an advantage over airships, and it strengthens the Weekend effect you have over them. It increases your damage and your accuracy. That's it. It increases the damage and your accuracy. It doesn't give you bonus dodge, doesn't give you bonus defense. All it strictly does is give you bonus attack, bonus accuracy. However, it has a negative effect on your opponent. It lowers your opponent's attack and your opponent's accuracy, which gives you the illusion that it increases your dodge, but it doesn't. The reason this matters is because bullet can be dodged. Ghost Cannon is not a guaranteed hit skill. In order to dodge Ghost Cannon, all you have to do is just run really high Strength and Weekend gear with walkers, and my Tier 1 Rangers can't hit them. I can't. I figured that out last season, and I thought, oh crap. If people get wind of this, Ghost Cannon and Annihilator Ray are going to be hard to use. So what did I do? Well, I figured out how much strength and weaken effect was needed, or roughly. I figured out which matchups I can get away with it, and then I switched back to Soul Eaters, because that extra 10% accuracy actually matters. The extra 10% the extra 10% buff from the guild matters. The extra 20% I buff myself with matters. The extra 3 and 4% I get on my gems by going over 25% matters. So the difference is when you look at my gear, you'll see accuracy, front row, total accuracy 303, infantry accuracy 102, first row accuracy 96, for a total of like 500%, plus guild buffs, plus whatever other, buffs I have. But then you'll see right there, do you see that? Total resistance weakened effect, 116%. Because on my gear, I run 30-30, 30-30, or close to it. See the gems? I don't run any 4-piece. I'm the only main commander in the game. 2 sets of gems on everything. I don't run any 4-piece. Look at this. Aquarius, Aries, right? 2-piece, 2-piece. Aquarius and Capricorn? Yeah. 2-piece, 2-piece. Now I'm getting 2-piece from Total Resistance Weekend. Hey, that's not factoring in correct. It is factoring in. So I'm getting 120, 120 directly off stats, but it's not showing the gem bonuses in here. So maybe we should mail support about that. If you're still watching this video, oh, there it is. It's added there. Okay. So we get 2%, 30% resistance weakened from Taurus, 30% from Aquarius. So in total, I've got 170-something percent. That's a lot of resistance weakened. So unless someone's running full strength and weakened gear, even then I still might hit them. Anyway, it's a ton. And that's what I've been using. And with this gear, I don't miss anymore. There are exceptions to that rule, and I won't give that up just yet. But for the most part, no one's dodging me anymore, and that's what I had to do. Now, granted, you got to remember, this gear setup sucks for actual normal fighting. If I wanted to switch my main troops and put them on bullet for actual fighting against a golem or something with high tier, I'd get destroyed because of how bad those gems are. But for ranger fights and not giving away points with the ignore tier suppression skills, those are the bee's knees. So people have been asking me about that. There it is. That's what it is. So one more recap. Accuracy is everything. HP bonuses and negatives, like negative HP on Eye of Abyss, and bonus HP from, there's no bonus HP there. Bonus HP from like Black Knight or something wouldn't help Ghost Cannon's damage. The only thing that affects Ghost Cannon is the amount of troops HP that triggers it, which is proportional to how much leadership you have for how many troops you could fit in that slot. And as it happens, I use tier 1 because they don't give away points and they're super cheap and they trigger and they hit just as hard, if not harder, than high tier. So look at 1 unit, 40 HP. The research, haul, guild buffs don't matter. It's all based off raw base unit. I know that sounds crazy, right? I've done all the math, trust me on this. Do it yourself again if they might have changed it, but I know that Rangers get 40 HP for 1 unit at tier 1. And then at tier 7, 30 units, if you multiply 40 times 30, it's 1,200. That's 1160 based. It's 40 units short. So actually, Conquerors don't trigger the same damage Ghost Cannon. They actually hit for slightly less. It's very slight. It's like 2.5% slightly less. But technically, Rangers do trigger Ghost Cannon and hit harder. So that's what I've been doing. Accuracy, everything. Strengthened or resistance weakened effect increases. Strengthened total resistance weakened effect decreases my opponent's advantage over me by limiting their, because resistance weakened only limits your opponent's strength and weakened. And accuracy everywhere else, guys. That's how I'm running bullet. That's how you should be running bullet. If you see people running bullet with like Gemini 4-piece or tier 2, don't tell them no, you're playing it wrong. That's not how you do bullet. Well, he's my main commander, I use him for everything. Listen, if you're going to use your bullet as a main commander, which I don't recommend unless your enemy has a ton of tier 7 and you're fighting an enemy with tier 7 or higher, but if you're like tier 1 through 5, don't main Bullet yet. Main him later. Main someone else for now. When you go into like Endless and do fighting like that, Bullet sucks as a PvP commander with regular tier troops. Ghost Cannon is great. It does hit hard, and it does, give you a double strike. And Mino Particle's great if you want to dodge and get out of the way and stuff, but it's nothing compared to like, the X or Stella or Bullet or Rita or Robin or Lilith. They just have way more useful stuff when it comes to fair fights. But if you want to use tier 1 Ranger, or if you want to, compete in Endless or Ace, use your Bullet gear. That's what I do. I just take my Bullet's gear. I'm sorry. Use your Plasma's gear and put it on Bullet. Just take it off Plasma and go put it on Bullet. And then you have a backup set of gear with Gemini on it and Libra and whatever you use. So, and same with Rock. You should, have a nice set of accuracy gear for Rock. Rock's a little different because he's Walker. He has so much accuracy. He doesn't necessarily need Dirge. But because he relies on Annihilator rate just like Bullet does, you might want to stick to that because it's cheap too. Items are super cheap. But, all right, let's recap this thing up, close this Fireside chat. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is just a lot of rambling, but I feel like it brings a lot of the conversation together, and it gets you guys back on board with the conversations we have in the live streams and the future videos, because in those videos I gotta like plow through very specific content down a channel, and with this I can kind of get everyone caught up so they know what I'm talking about. I've made, here we go, another tangent. I've made other videos like Melt's Top 8. That was an old video. I was still learning, guys. And Top 8, but now it's like there is no Top 8 anymore. It's like this is the game now. Gotta have a Plasma because sometimes he pays off big time when your opponent's not using tier suppression. Gotta have Bullet and Rock when your opponent is using tier suppression. You can main them, or you can just leave them at 3,000 to 4,000 leadership and use tier 1 on them. With Plasma, you can use high tier if you got it. If you don't have the research, use tier 2. Use them as a bomber. Get some HP and dodge gear, and not dodge gear. Not if you use them as a bomber. And tier 2 versus tier. I'm not going there right now. Roger Dodger is fun for killing level 20 monsters and level 8 event monsters with tier 9 and higher. Not necessary. Certainly fun to use as a dodge commander. If you can get infantry tier 9 or higher, it works with airships, so he can really pay off big sometimes. He's fun to use. But other than that, it's Golem, Stella. That's it, man. And you don't use both. You only use one or the other, not both. If you see someone running a Golem and a Stella, it's just novelty to say they can. You don't actually have two mains that are one's airship, one commander. Not in any large portion of leadership. Your main commander should have 90% of your leadership. And I remember when I first started playing this game, I thought to myself, well, this guy he's a one-trick pony. That's all he's got. Let me tell you, when you get into the fight with that one-trick pony, even if you're infantry and he's airship, he's still going to beat your ass if he has twice the leadership. So, yeah, Pocket Hoodoo. I can't even forgot. I totally forgot. Pocket Hoodoo. You got to have a Pocket Hoodoo. Pocket Hoodoo is just super fun, huge payoffs, low risk, 1,000 leadership. And then, I can't believe I didn't say that. All this time, been running my jab, didn't even bring it up. Pocket Hoodoo is not so great for Galactic battle. People don't send, just Rangers. Maybe when you're getting zeroed, they're trying to jump and zero you. But that's the main lineups, man. This is it right here. This is what everyone's lead should look like. This is what everyone should look like. And that Golem can either be Stella, or it could be a weenie that you use level 1 commander just to falsely hit people, or just to check people's garrison, low risk, all ranger kind of thing. But this is it. This is the game right now going into season 4 playoffs. I mean, you can look at it, eat it up. This is it, man. And I'd like to say our community really had a big part of this. I'm not going to take credit for saying Golem is the best commander of the game. A lot of people put Golem on the map. We knew he was one of the best commanders in the game when he first came out because of how hard he was to get. Lurgo and Gan put Hoodoo on the map. Some legendary Death Rattle replays. But I'll take credit for Bullet. And I called Rock out early on too. I didn't see anyone do it before me calling it out. But Combat Plasma. Either way, there's 2 ways to play him. And this is the meta. And I remember at the beginning of this season, I was thinking like, wow, we're still figuring things out, Moonshadow and all this. And right now, I think this is the meta, but you never know. You don't know. They might drop a new commander. Elf is coming. She might change up a more defensive build. We might start seeing Galileos and Bladers being used because of how important it is to survive. Like there might be a heavier penalty weighed on a commander dying, and we might see a complete removal of penalty for losing troops, or like a 90% removal. Like if your troops were 90% cheaper to heal and your commanders took 10 times as much gold to heal, all of a sudden you might be more willing to sacrifice troops and not lose fights. But I don't know. The devs always throw new stuff at us. They got ideas coming at them all over the place, and they implement them now and again, and we just get to see the aftermath of it. But the new Gabriel Hole is fantastic and increases strength and weakened effect up to 87% like the Apocalypse Hull did. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that. You can expect to see Gabriel Holes in every Galactic battle this season because of how useful that strengthened gear is. And they haven't given us a Rabbit Ears event because you need a Rabbit Ears to build it. And I'm not using mine. I got a nice Rabbit Ears. I got way too much stuff invested into it. And Pure Crystals. Ooh, Pure Crystals are tough to get, man. Pure Crystals are tough to get. But going into Season 4, that's what it looks like, guys. That's the meta. That's the setup. That's the gear. I feel like I didn't fully explore the Golem gear. I mean, guys, double hit gems, guaranteed hit, all damage. Don't worry about accuracy. Accuracy, balancing, and stuff, that's up to you to figure out. Walker Commanders, you got to figure out how much accuracy versus damage you want to have, how much you want to risk. All right. Thanks for watching this video. We're going into Season 4 Galactic Battle Playoffs next week, weekend after? No, next week. We'll be live streaming an hour or two every night, as often as I can. So come by, chime in, hit me up online, join the social stuff below if you haven't already. If you're only online or you're only on Discord, try mixing it up. Try joining the other communities. And, see what this game has to offer. It keeps giving and giving and giving. So thanks for playing. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.